Books! Books! All the books I'll need. All the books. All the books I'll ever want. Shelley, Shakespeare, Shaw. All the books I want. All the books. Ah.
Hey guys, this video is going to be a little different because, like I said, it's it's going to be all about books. This morning, a few hours ago, I was bored and I made a very important discovery. I started counting all of the little bits of media that I have in my room, from movies to games to music albums, and finally to books. And I discovered that I have more books, literally more books than any other form of media that I have in my room. More than movies, more than games, more than music albums. I have more books than anything. I have over 100 books in my collection, and it's kind of weird to me because I'm not much of a reader, but all these books that I have, I actually wanted to read, and I've read some of them, but the ones that I've read are mostly comic books, and I haven't read very many novels. But anyway, let's get to it. Okay, so what I'm going to attempt to do here is take you through my entire collection, and maybe give you my 2 cents about some of the books that I've read, or have almost read, or have started, or want to start, or have finished, and tell you what I think about them. So let's go with the first row of this massive bookshelf. Okay. Here is a comic book that I got at Comicpalooza called Abyss. Didn't care too much for it, I'm sorry to say, but I got it for free. I got a lot of free stuff when I went to Comicpalooza that year. And here is Dirk Strangely's Graveyard Girl. Very interesting stuff. He actually signed it for me. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, he actually did a free drawing for me. He signed it and drew it and everything. So yeah, that's pretty cool. 500 essential graphic novels. It's kind of a good read. It's just a big list of graphic novels that you might need to read. Some of them good, some of them bad. Some of them I've actually read, but it's an interesting list. A Drifting Life by Yoshihiro Tatsumi. This is a book that I had been wanting to read for a while, and when I finally got around to reading it, it was pretty good. It was very dramatic, and it really gives you a look into what the manga industry is like. At least that's what I think. I don't know what it's like down there, but I've heard it's a pretty cutthroat business. But anyway, A Drifting Life. Bone. This is probably my favorite comic book ever. No, it's probably my second favorite comic book. I got this. This is the first edition of the 1-volume edition. It took me an entire week to finish this one book. I got it when I was 14, and it took me a whole week to finish it. Nowadays, I can mow through comic books that are this size and even bigger than this size in like a few hours. But but for some reason this one took me an entire week. I don't know if it was the first big epic comic book that I bought or whatever, I don't know. But it's amazing. It's amazing. I highly recommend it. Let's see. These are just the Bone spin-offs, Tall Tales, Rose. This is a prequel, spin-off. They're alright. But let me see. Shane. This is a book that I got for my birthday, and I read through it, and I thought it was awesome. It was awesome, and then I saw the movie, and everybody says, oh, the movie's such a classic, and I didn't like it. I did not like it at all, actually. The acting was just, it was, it was bad even for the time it was released. And of course, it goes without saying that it didn't follow much of the book at all, but the acting is what really, really killed it for me, because it was terrible. Even by 1950s standards, even by the standards of which the movie was released, it was just terrible. I'm sorry to people who actually like the movie, but I didn't like it at all. Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, of course those books need no introduction. Jurassic Park and the Lost World by the late Michael Crichton. Oh, dang it. Yeah, the Jurassic Park and the Lost World, I'm still in the midst of reading Jurassic Park. It's both books in one big book. I got this at Barnes & Noble for like, I don't even know, $20, I guess. But it was a great deal. I showed it to my friends at school, and they said, yeah, that's pretty legit. That's pretty legit. And, yeah, so far it's pretty much a bunch of talking heads talking about science and stuff, and there've only been like 1 or 2 dinosaur attacks in the book, but still, it's pretty interesting. I like it a lot. Good Omens. Yeah. This is a very funny book. Of course, anybody who's read this book knows what I'm talking about when I say that this is a very funny book. I first read it like when I was 15, and I didn't really get all of it. For some reason, it just didn't click with me. Some parts I got a light chuckle out of, but I've been meaning to read through it again, and I don't remember all of what happened in it. I only remember like a select few bits, but I'm currently listening to the radio drama, and the radio drama is very, very, very funny, and from what I remember of the novel, the radio drama follows the novel very closely, and yeah, so Good Omens, Neil Gaiman, Terry Pratchett, highly recommend it. Very funny book. I'll have to read it again, though. The Once and Future King by T.H. White. This is 4 books, actually, rolled into one. The first book, The Sword and the Stone, I've read. It's a lot better than the Disney movie. I gotta tell you, it's way better than the Disney movie, I think. The Disney movie is just Disney, and that's it. But the book is very good, very good. And anyway, at the end of the story, King Arthur pulls the sword out of the stone, and it's great. It's great. Very, very, very interesting. Here's another good one. The Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King. This book is, I think, the first Stephen King book that I ever read, because I bought it when I was really young, and it was the only Stephen King book my parents would allow me to read because I was young and stupid, and They wouldn't let me read The Stand or It because those were too scary and they had lots of vulgar language. But this one they let me read for some reason. It's still pretty violent and scary, but it's pretty epic. It's very epic. I like it a lot. Dune. Of course, I don't need to talk about that. It needs no introduction. The best-selling sci-fi book ever made. Another Stephen King book. Everything's Eventual. Mostly a collection of short stories. Some good, some bad. I haven't read them all, though. Ode to Kirihito. Yeah, I've spoken of this in another one of my previous videos. It's pretty different. If you're looking for an Osamu Tezuka masterpiece that isn't Astro Boy or Blackjack or any of his more famous works, I think this is the way to go. It's the first mature manga that I think was published in English, like widely. I've got another. I wasn't. Anyway, Ode to Kirihito. It's pretty cool. H.P. Lovecraft, The Complete Fiction. Very good stuff. And now this. Oh, dang. This is my favorite. My favorite comic book ever. Parasite. Anybody who's read this knows what I mean when I say this is spectacular. The best manga that I have ever read, and the best comic book that I've ever read. It's my favorite, all-time favorite comic book, whether it be from America, Asia, or Europe. It's my favorite. Favorite, bar none. Bone is good. This is better. Okay, and the anime is pretty cool, too, but nothing beats the manga. We got a few plays over here. The Pillow Man by Martin McDonough. Amadeus, Peter Schaefer, very good. And the radio play of Dark Side of the Moon by Tom Stoppard. Tom Stoppard co-wrote the movie Brazil, which is another one of my favorite movies. And yeah, that does it for this row. Okay, now let's get into the second row. Yeah, Soulfire. This is a pretty cool comic by Michael Turner, the late Michael Turner. One of my friends, he says his cousin, he's a cousin of Michael Turner, and that's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool, and this comic is even cooler. It's got a lot of great illustrations, and supposedly was inspired by Wizards, and Wizards the movie by Ralph Bakshi. And I can definitely see some of that in some elements of that in this comic. But I'd have to have heard it from the horse's mouth to have believed it, but I don't know. I see some elements of Wizards, but this is a good comic. This is pretty good. I recommend it. Star Wench. This is a choose-your-own-adventure spoof where every page is a death. Hence choose-your-own-death. It's not a choose-your-own-adventure like I have over here, but it's choose-your-own-death because every page you die, and it's you die in all sorts of horrible but funny ways, very funny, darkly humorous ways. Funny. Hacking video game consoles. Yeah, I bought this like a long time ago. It's by Benjamin J. Heckendorn, and I subscribe to his YouTube channel. And he is a very, very talented engineer and electronic guy, and he's a very cool guy. He makes little bitty Game Boys out of big video game consoles, and that's why I bought this book. I wanted to build my own thing out of a PlayStation 1, and for some reason I never got around to doing that. I don't know. But anyway, hacking video game consoles. What was that? Anyway, Hank the Cowdog, children's book. Funny stuff, very nostalgic. No Straight Lines. This 4 Decades of Queer Comics. Very good. Very good stuff. I haven't... it's very good. Massive. Gay erotic manga and the men who make it. Yeah. That goes back in there. Now here's another very funny book. Starship Grifters by Rob Kress. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this is probably one of the funniest books that I've ever read. And it's I haven't read any of the Stainless Steel Rat books, which were some of the books that inspired it, but I can tell you right now that this is a very funny book. Every time I open it up and read some of it, it always just puts a big dopey smile on my face, and I just love it. It's one of the best books, one of the funniest books that I've read so far. So anyway, Starship Grifters, M.W. Mu, actually, another Osamu Tezuka masterpiece. Took me a couple of hours to read through that. Very, very mature. Zot by Scott McCloud. He's the guy who wrote Understanding Comics. This is okay. It's pretty okay. I wish it could have had a more conclusive ending, but the ending to me, it felt kind of rushed, from what I remember, but it's still good. Still a good book. And The Amazing Joy Buzzards. I bought this book completely on a whim. I just bought it because I liked the cover. And you know how they say you can never judge a book by its cover? That's true, but in some cases, the cover of a book, when a cover of a book is all you have to go by, sometimes you just gotta wing it, and that was the case with The Amazing Joy Buzzards. I liked the art style on the cover of the book, and it reminded me a little bit of Scott Pilgrim, which is down there. And when I opened it and started reading it, it was very funny. It made me laugh out loud, and I highly recommend it. Very good book. Dreamcast Worlds. This was an Indiegogo project, and I bought it. I bought it myself, and it's very, very detailed as to how the Dreamcast came about, and of course the Dreamcast is one of the best consoles ever conceived. That doesn't need to be said any more than it already has, but yeah, it's a good book and a great history lesson. Rise of the Video Game Zinesters. I actually have this book on my Kindle, and at the time I had read like almost half of it on my Kindle, but then I got this in a physical copy, and now I'm even farther than I was on my Kindle. And it's very good. It's very good. It's very inspiring, I think. It tells people to make games like they would a zine, a punk zine. Coco Takes a Holiday. Very exciting book. Thanks IO9 very much for recommending this to me. I do not regret buying it, and I'm kind of far in it, but yeah, Coco Takes a Holiday. Very exciting, very fun book. And I like it a lot. Haven't finished it yet, but I like what I've read. True Grit. Classic. A classic among classics, if ever there was one. I haven't seen either of the movies, either the one with John Wayne or the one with Jeff Bridges, but this one is, the novel is very good. I think it's very good. Pretty exciting, kind of slow certain bits, but it's very exciting, I think. Crate Digger. This was a Kickstarter project, and I pledged to it, and I got the book, and it's pretty interesting. I've just started it now, and it's pretty interesting. Captain Ken by another Osamu Tezuka masterpiece. I really like Osamu Tezuka. He's my favorite. Captain Ken, this was another Kickstarter project. And I pledged to this one time, but then for some reason I canceled my pledge. I don't know, maybe I ran out of money or... But anyway, I got this on Amazon and I've read it, and it's pretty cool. It's a space western, and I love westerns and I love sci-fi, and it's great. It's great stuff. The Lost World by Osamu Tezuka, another great book. Metropolis. I bought this like ages ago, and it's really, really beat up, this copy. But it's still just as good as it was. Pages are kind of yellow, but 1,000 Clowns. Yeah. I've seen this movie, the movie that was based on this play. And I really, really, really like the movie. One of Jason Robards' best performances that he's ever done. And I can't really find the movie on DVD at an affordable price or from a vendor that I trust. So I just got the play, and I'm in the midst of reading it, and it's very good. It's very good, very dramatic. I like it a lot. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? The basis for Blade Runner, and actually more the inspiration for Blade Runner. This novel is very different from Blade Runner. It's got a lot more social commentary, and of course it's Philip K. Dick, so it's got to have that level of psychedelia and weirdness. So yeah, it is pretty weird, but it's a lot less straightforward than Blade Runner, but it's still good. It's still good. I like it a lot. Coraline. Coraline, she's mighty fine. But anyway, Coraline is another novel by Neil Gaiman. It was made into a movie. If you've seen the movie, but are interested in more, like, can't imagine why you would be, because the movie wasn't such a... But it was a good movie, but the book is better. I think I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah. ZZT. I don't know how you pronounce it. ZZT. Zot. Zip Zop Zoopity Bop. By Anna Entropy. She wrote the Rise of the Video Game Zinesters right there. This is another book that she has written about a computer game. And yeah, this is very interesting too. As you can see, I've only just started it, but it's a lot of fun. 1984, of course, needs no introduction. One of the best books ever written, and probably my favorite of all time. Steel and Other Stories, the inspiration for Real Steel. It's a collection of short stories, one of which was the basis for Real Steel, the inspiration for Real Steel, the movie with Hugh Jackman, yeah. But originally it was a Twilight Zone episode with James Coburn. I think it was James Coburn. Might have been Lee Marvin, but always. But anyway, the story is a lot more bleak. Because, of course, it was a Twilight Zone episode, so it's got to be bleak, and it's got to have a sad ending. But yeah, there's a lot of good stories in here. The 120 Days of Simon, a Swedish comic, Swedish graphic novel. This is a lot of fun. It's about this comic book artist slash musician from Sweden, and he travels all around Sweden and stays for like 120 days, and stays in one place for 3 days maximum, and he does all sorts of crazy things. He has sex with women, he does drugs, and he it's pretty cool. But But yeah, very interesting. Peacemaker, another space western set in Australia, futuristic Australia. This is a pretty neat book. Another one that IO9 recommended. I like it a lot. I haven't finished it, but what I've read is very, very mysterious and very, very cool. So yeah. Dang it. The Narnia books, of course. They're the Narnia books. 2 Choose Your Own Adventures that I ordered around Halloween. Pretty scary. Neuromancer. Book that I just bought because I was bored and just was feeling cyberpunkish, but it's kind of slow. I hate to say that, but it's kind of slow. Anyway, Dororo, the entire series by Osamu Tezuka, and it's very good. Very good. Space City Zines, Space City News. I keep waiting for them to publish a fourth issue, but because these are very interesting. They were published right here in Houston, and they are just a lot of fun, and I loved reading them. And I got one of them at like a local video game store right here, and they were a lot of fun to read, and I wish they would make more. The Culinary Cyclist, 2 Bikes in Space zines, nice. A lot of fun recipes in here. I tried cooking one of the recipes in this, and I did it very, very incorrectly. It was a baked egg and avocado dish, and I tried baking the egg in the oven, and I didn't put any olive oil in the pan, so the egg stuck to the pan, and I had to clean it. It was terrible. Bikes in Space zines, very fun, very, very great read for sci-fi fans and cyclists like myself. Boss Monster, it's not a book, it's a game. So that does it for this row. Now, the last row. Okay. Here we get to the good stuff. Last but not least, The Rocketeer. The Complete Rocketeer by Dave Stevens. This was the basis for the Disney movie, the Disney Rocketeer movie. Recorded the movie on my, but the book is way better. It's a lot more risque. It has a little bit more partial nudity than the Disney movie, because the Disney movie is just Disney, and the comic book is good. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at this. So anyway, the Mega Man comics from Archie, those are awesome. I recently read the crossover that he did with Sonic the Hedgehog, and man, the chemistry between Robotnik and Dr. Wily is just amazing, and I loved reading their dialogue. But it made me laugh and it made me smile. But the comics, the Mega Man comics by themselves are also pretty good. Pretty deadly. Oh. Very, very good. Very good weird Western comic. Highly recommend it. It's about the daughter of the Grim Reaper, and it's a very cool book. Very nice pictures and illustrations and stuff. Yeah, and I can't wait for the next story arc. East of West. I bought this book. I bought these books hoping that they would, under the impression that they would be good, because they're Westerns and I love Westerns, but I don't know. They just weren't as good as I thought that they would be, but I don't know. Maybe I need to read more of it. Another Bone spinoff, Quest for the Spark. These books are okay. Vermilion, one of the latest books that I've gotten. This is a very good book. From what I've read, it's kind of like Ghostbusters. It's Ghostbusters in the Old West with a female Ghostbuster. Just one female Ghostbuster in the Old West. Yeah, if that doesn't sell you on it, then I don't know what will. Scott Pilgrim, of course. Blood Blockade Battlefront. Funimation recently made an anime of this series, and I gotta say, I haven't seen any of the anime because I've been meaning to finish the rest of the manga, because I only have like 5 volumes of like 7 or 8, I think. But Blood Blockade Battlefront, it's very good. It reminds me a lot of Hellboy. Very good stuff. Trigun, the entire manga series. Of course, nothing more needs to be said about that. Young Miss Holmes, that was a very interesting series. Bought it because it was by the same guy who did Butobi CPU, which is another one of the funniest animes that I've seen. And Biomega. It's pretty strange. It's a zombie manga, but not quite. It's a cyberpunk manga, but not quite. It's got a talking Russian bear, and it's pretty crazy. By the guy who made Blame. So yeah, that is this bookshelf here. I've got a lot more books over here, but I've got very little space left on my iPad, so let me I think this will be it for now. So see you later.